No, it's live. Hi. Uh, so yesterday I posted or went live, but the video disappeared. Not really sure what happened there, but come on. I'm like no one. I don't know why it disappeared. Maybe because I'm no one. Anyway, I'm not gonna go into it. Today I want to talk to you about stability and trauma, but before I do that, I just want to give you a quick rundown of why I'm doing this. So the tribute projects, which NoOne Unscripted is a part of, was sort of a writing art experiment started in 2011, May of 2011, based on my public online sort of existential beyond the grave dialogue with this man who had died long before I sort of learned about him, named Samuel Stewart. He was a professor at DePaul University, DePaul with an L, not W. DePaul is one of the largest Catholic universities in the world, and one of my professors there handed me a book about this man who was an English professor at DePaul, but he was also an openly gay man living in the 50s and 60s during McCarthyism. And he was a tattoo artist who had a tattoo parlor not very far from where he taught English at DePaul University. And he mentored Ed Hardy. If you guys know Ed Hardy, you ladies and gentlemen, not guys. I need to get rid of this habit of masculinizing everything. So that's how and he was a sexual renegade. He recorded 500, which was 500 of his sexual encounters. And every detail about it. And it was quite obsessive compulsive. And it was just a fascinating thing. So when I was reading his biography, I found so many corollaries to my life story and his life story. Everything from trauma to finding stability, to affirming oneself, to reasserting oneself, to failing, to having inadequacies and dealing with them, and all of these things. And we all go through these. So I said to myself, I'm just going to do this online, and the end goal will be publishing a book. But the way that the publishing world works right now, you have to write it in secret, and then you have to go begging to a publishing house to see if they like your book. And there's a whole component of bad psychology there that really burns down writers or anybody who in themselves feels like they are writers, and there's definitely a lot of growing for them to do, which I'm still one of those cases. So in 2011, when I started, by the way, this is a little fast talking for me. Go ahead and slow down. You can slow it down. I think it's over here. On this end, I think, where you can slow down the speed of the video. So I'm speaking fast because there's a lot I want to tell you today. And the previous video was really long, and then YouTube just disappeared it, which is, I'm kind of pissed at the YouTube minions about that, but whatever. That was that. Maybe they didn't like my shirt yesterday. I had a red one on. Anyway, so that project unwound in such a way that I came up. I now have 4 ebooks on Amazon. If you search OEI, S for son, H as in house, I-K. on Amazon, you'll find my ebooks. They're quite reasonable. These are actually memorials because they were writings that I had posted onto my website, thetributeprojects.com, which is now currently live, and you can go check it out. It's completely free. It's got my latest art and writing on it, which I edit as time goes on. So I may change a word, I may not, I may take out a sentence, I may not, until it goes into publishing, and then it's kind of like codified, you can say, and memorialized. So I wanted to turn this publishing thing on its head, where the onus was on the person doing it, because I needed to start, having faith in myself and do something material to be able to consolidate that faith. So I don't know what happened, what instigated me exactly, or what inspired me, or what pushed me. But in December, I posted my first video on as NoOne Unscripted as part of the tribute projects. I've had the YouTube channel for quite some time, but I haven't posted it really ever until December of 2019, with the exception of a few of my more home video sort of things about my dogs and stuff. I started the video. The first video I did was about authoritarianism, and I wore a face mask, and I said that we're going to have to wear this. And I said that about the climate crisis. Somewhere a pandemic is an attenuated consequence of globalism and the climate crisis, and just carelessness and recklessness, and a compounding of that. So it's like, I don't know what made me start, but then as I went on, I kept on doing these videos, and I felt like I needed to connect more and more with people. And so just last week, before I go there. So I started talking about my website. My work has been everything about from sex to God, as I would say, but it's more an exploration of myself from the very basic sort of instinctive, core, barbaric part of me to the more elevated ideological side of me, and then linking the two, and so now as I've grown up, we've in formalized education, we learn about a lot of things like science and astronomy and physics, all the disciplines of science, and then all the disciplines of the humanities. We learn these, and I learned these all through my high school, undergrad, law school, then grad school. I was in school for a good 25 years of my life, and I'm 38 now. So, and I'm never going back to school. I mean, it was a horrid experience, but I mean, I learned a lot. But I don't know how much I learned sitting in the classrooms. I'll tell you that, and that's a whole different topic about the reforming education, the whole education system, out of the Victorian standardized system and into a more practical, emerging education system that reinforces self-worth and flourishes those qualities in people that are innate, instead of damping them down to be part of the status quo. So one of the topics that I'd always sort of wondered about but never really gone into was astrology, which happens to be one of the most ostracized topics. And today's topic is not about astrology, but it is I'm starting here because there's a reason. And over the past 3 or 4 months, I've been going obsessive, literally obsessive about all of the the way that I look at things, and I posted on my website, one of my most recent pieces was, question what you believe, at least as much as you believe it. And for me, I believe in everything and I question everything. I don't have that nature to be suspicious and judgmental about something without ever having experienced it myself. It's just not my nature. So I went through it, and I'm doing my videos, I'm writing, I'm doing my artwork and my installations that I'm working on right now. And I kept interacting with these astrology channels on YouTube, and I posted one video, and then some weeks later, this channel by the name of Scorched Earth Tarot. If you're inclined astrologically or through the now I'm part of that tribe as well. That with the collective of what you would say people who believe in the spiritual realms. And in the esoterics, in spirituality, please check out her channel. It's quite lovely, and she's wonderful. She took one of my videos, the video about karma, which is also, you can check it out, and she made a playlist and put it on there because it resonated with her. And I would really like to thank her. It's one of the kindest, most what can you say, selfless things somebody has done for my message. I don't want to say for me, because I really there's so many things that comes with caring for someone, but to be able to care for an idea enough for it to resonate enough within somebody, for them to be able to share it with other people who are in their circle and periphery, which is completely different from mine. This web channel is one little tangent in which we met, and she literally, made my day, and has given me a new sort of inspiration to or a new spirit to be able to keep on talking about the things that I feel are important. So all of that was for me to tell you a little bit about myself, and also to thank Scorched Earth Tarot. She's also Scorched Earth Tarot on Twitter, so you can follow her. You can also follow me on Twitter at Tribute Projects. So please do that. Today is going to be about stability and trauma. And before I talk to you about stability and trauma, I will tell you a story. And the story is of my childhood. It's a little personal. So I had a really rough childhood, in the sense that I had a really volatile family fallout from the age of 5 till about, acutely speaking, till about I was 13. In the middle of that, when I was about 10 or so, there was a time that I was living with my father, and I just witnessed something really violent happen 6 months before that, and just a couple of months after that, I had been sexually molested by a family friend who was staying with us, and my mother and my little brother were in my maternal grandparents' houses. So it was a mess, right? And I was 9, 10, I was 10 and a half at the time. And so I became really defensive of, I'm sorry, hello, enough! Bad puppy dog. No. Bull mastiffs are supposed to be really self-destructive, and this lady doesn't disappoint. And there she is. There she is. There she is. No, you go on. Relax. One of my viewers said that my dogs upstage me. They always upstage me somehow, and then they make this stupid face and make you feel guilty when you're working. And then they put their snub, wet nose on your artwork, and they go everywhere with you. Okay, anyway. So I started, because of all this that happened to me, I became very sort of guarded, and became obsessed with getting BB guns. My grandfather had a double barrel shotgun, because we had a farmhouse, my mother's father, and so I was fascinated with guns from a very young age. And so I took those guns, that BB guns that I had got. I would, I bugged my dad. And at that point, he was just, going to give me anything I wanted. So I went out with those BB guns, went up to the roof, to the veranda, to the balcony, to the windows, and wherever I saw any birds, I just shot at them. It's one of the shameful, horrible things that I ever did. And I killed quite a few of them. I destroyed a nest. Couple of crow eggs, and the crows didn't leave me alone after that. And I don't blame them for it. I was murdering them. It was one of the most inhumane things, and I didn't know why I was doing it, because that was really never my nature. And it has taken me many, many years to write about it, to talk about it. And, of course, I was projecting out my pain, my grief, my anger onto something that really had nothing to do with what had happened to me and what was happening to me. But, for the last few months, since the COVID thing started to happen, and food shops all over Calcutta started to close down, the street shops, the crows and the dogs didn't get the food that they were getting. So what I started to do was started to feed these crows and dogs. And I fed the dogs for quite some time. I just didn't ever think of feeding the crows, although I did have this story ringing in my head. And so I started feeding them, and I started interacting with them. And these crows, they're just so amazing. They are amazing team workers. They are amazing friends to each other. They're amazing partners. They're amazing parents. They're amazing, just amazing. And they're punctual as shit. And so I started interacting with them, and over the last few months, they kind of hear my voice, and whenever they hear my voice, they come and they know that they're getting food or they're getting some sort of an interaction. And I'll never ever be able to forgive. Maybe I'll be able to forgive myself once the universe forgives me. But I'm committed to doing this for the rest of my life, as long as I have food, to be able to give crows and people and animals in need, instead of taking out my anger on the world. Maybe this is my catharsis. I don't know. Wasn't expecting this to happen. But these crows are great. They're not my friends. There's a video. There's a video of them. But it has taken me from 1992 to 2018 to finally be able to put a bow around the trauma that I have experienced all my life. And a lot of those traumas are still ongoing, but they are at such a weak level in my psyche that they don't really have much of an impact on me. They're just stories for me to learn from, and I learn from them every single day, and they're lessons. So, what I do now is just go back. Now that I have some semblance of stability over the last couple of years, I go back and I think about all the trauma that I may have caused anybody. And I find ways that through my work now, because I can't go back and apologize to everybody. That's not how repentance works. But I can forgive myself for what I did by every day remembering it and doing something in reparation of it. That is the true way. That happens to be the way that Jesus Christ, that happens to be the way that Buddha, that happens to be the way that any faith leader has ever told you to do. And that is what it means to be the change you want to see in the world, which is what Gandhi said. So, one of the things that you have to realize that you can't do that until you are stable. And what's happening in the world today is just putting in the seeds of this collective trauma. The traumas that I experienced by myself by being, about police brutality or police prejudice or, the criminal justice system, whatever you want to talk about. I've experienced a lot of things in my life, and I'd be more than happy to talk about them, but this is not the conversation for it. And I say conversation, but there's still that one person, which happens to be that YouTube person who's probably going to delete my video again. And if you delete my video again, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to do it again, and I'm going to wear a different shirt, and I'm going to say fuck a lot. So don't do it. Don't you do it. Don't do it. Now, we as a society won't be able to collectively heal this trauma and be stable again unless we realize that stability has to come from within, and that stability has to be having faith in oneself and being important within oneself. Gertrude Stein said the most important question was a question of being important inside in one, and that's a really compounding statement. I reduce it down to I'm important and that's enough. I'm important to me and that's enough. And having faith in yourself enough to be able to explore what is real and what is not real for yourself. Don't blindly follow anything or anybody. This is no longer the time for that. We are past the time of looking at people who presume to be leaders. Sure, let them do their thing, and you do your thing, like vote, like stand up for your values, your values. Like in John, I think it's John 14:6. I think so, or 16:4. I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know even if there's a 16:4. I'm dyslexic, so I get mixed up. Jesus said, I'm the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father but by me. I look at that statement as saying, be the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father but by being. And I look at Father as being the universe. Comes to the Father, returning back to your origins, to your ancestry, to your roots, to understanding yourself. And then by being that, whatever is within yourself, we live in a standardized society that is meant to suppress that. But with the advent of the internet and and so far, authoritarianism hasn't wrapped around and tried to regulate the World Wide Web, although, they're trying. They are trying very hard, but I don't think they're going to be successful. I just don't think so. So in order for you to be able to heal from this trauma collectively, you have to learn to heal from this trauma individually within yourself. And you cannot do that by blaming everything on other people. You cannot do that by thinking only of what you need and what you want. You cannot do that by just thinking of what you want and not focusing on what you need. And you definitely can't do that if you ultimately can't tell what you want and what you need, and then slowly shed away the wants. And that is my process. That is my process. But mind you, that process is mine. It's not because a faith told me so. It's not because science told me so. It's not because astrology told me so. It's none of that. All of that came after I came along to learn them. And our purpose in life, first and foremost, should be to find that core identity within ourselves. And it'll be hard, but things will get harder if you don't. The systems that are at play around the world now are not going to sustain much longer. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when, because of the climate crisis, because of the wildfires, the storms that have happened and are still going to happen this year that are in the forecast, because of the markets being so volatile, because the housing markets bubbling here and bubbling there, because of unemployment that you wouldn't believe if you look at the markets. Remember that when the markets are up and unemployment is up, that's a disparity. That's not supposed to happen. When the markets are up, unemployment is supposed to be down in economics, right? So the markets are being regulated by financial institutions. But there's only so much manipulating that financial institutions can do before it cracks and breaks. So you have to start becoming self-sufficient on a core level. And you have to become self-sufficient in the understanding of other people's needs as well as yours. If you don't, then at some point you are going to need something. Forget your wants. You're going to need something and no one's going to be there to help you with it. And I don't want that to happen to anyone. I don't want that to happen to anyone, even the people that hurt me the most, or hurt people. I don't want that to happen to anyone. So, and the point of me telling you that story about the crows is that you need to be aware of your actions, no matter what trauma you're going through. A conversation with someone, a talk with someone where you blow up where you're not supposed to can ruin someone's day, can snap a camel's back, can be that last straw. You just don't know. Now, so being confident within yourself will give you the strength to be able to be compassionate, to be empathetic, if not empathic, to be able to understand what it feels like to be them instead of actually feeling like what's be them, which is what an empath is. And I have felt how people and animals feel and that discord within me for ages, for decades. And, I'm finally feeling that shed away. And the only way it sheds away is through reparative karma and through acknowledgement of mistakes, through seeking forgiveness within oneself and from the universe, whatever that fate may be. So that's the substance of today's topic. A few rewinds. In the last video, I talked about with R. I was supposed to talk about Rohingyas. I didn't talk about Rohingyas, but I don't forget about them. They're always in my mind. I had to touch bases with someone I know who's doing work there to be able to see what progress has happened, what it's like for them, what's going on there, and I haven't been able to do that. So once I do that, I'm going to do a special video for that. So that's that. that's my message to you about stability and trauma, is that, it regurgitates mental health problems, will become the issue of the coming 5, 10, 15, 20 years. We have to buckle up. We have to be able to have direction within ourselves, because there might come times that you will not have institutional direction. So have faith in yourself before you have faith in any institution. Have faith in yourself before you have faith in any entity that you believe to be God. Have faith in yourself before you have faith in money. You need money. We all need money, or we all need fungibility, so to speak, legally speaking, fungibility. The ability for something to be given in exchange for something, the validity of something to be given in exchange. But I mean, fungibility can happen in a barter system as well. That's just food for thought. So I thank you. Again, I want to thank Scorched Tarot, and I also want to thank anyone and everyone who watches. I'm going to start being a little less obsessive compulsive about my behaviors. I don't know if I ever had autism or not, but I definitely have many of the traits of it, and also many other quirks that, I think, like, when the universe was making me and shaping me, like, maybe a few of the engineers had, I don't know, like, smoked some crack or something. I don't know what they were doing. So, like, I'm a bit crooked. What? Okay, bye. Bye.